not everybody says so. The Israelites in the Old Testament didn't believe in life after death. And so on. I mean, it's very obvious that all religions do not say the same thing. Some religions are very pacifist, ask the Jains, and some are not pacifist at all. Believe in violence, think there is a value in violence, that it's elevating, that it brings you closer to the divine, or at least to the 72 holis you will enjoy after committing suicide attacks, and so on. So obviously not all religions say the same thing. Now Hindus, for some reason, have been dumbed down to the level that they intone this mantra. All religions say the same thing. Every time a politician comes on TV to talk about the communal problem, that's what he's going to say. I mean, really. So that's a very, very, very great weakness, the disappearance of the power of discrimination. Yeah. Opportunities for Hinduism. There is certainly one very, very great opportunity, but it doesn't affect India directly. It is in the West. There is an enormous vacuum. You see, in Europe, Christianity is fast disappearing. In America, not yet, but that's also beginning. There are parts of America like New England, New York, where very many Christians are leaving Christianity. These people have what Salman Rushdie called a God-shaped hole in their worldview. You see, there's something missing there where there used to be God. And so many of these people are on the lookout, are spiritually experimenting. In fact, I'm a case myself. I used to be a Catholic choir boy. Credo in unum Deum, Patrem omnipotentem, factorem caeli et terrae, visibilium omnium et invisibilium. Unfortunately, since I am deaf on one side, now I can't sing very well anymore, but I hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, so nevertheless, you see, at age 15, thereabouts, I walked out of the church. And that was typical for my generation. At that point, my country was 90 or so percent Catholic. And so in the 60s, they started a massive walkout. Of course, there had already been apostates before, but as a mass phenomenon, that was typical for that age. And so it started with usually the eldest son of the family, me, and then followed by some of his younger siblings, not all, then very often followed by the parents. The parents started to think twice, and maybe you can live without Christ, who knows? And then, once that really became a movement, that walkout became more massive, then you had the effect of conformism. Many people used to go to church because everybody went. Now, they used to stay home from church because everybody stayed home. And so, that's in a population usually quite an important factor, the following type. And so that accounts for the spectacular numbers in the decline of Christianity. So nowadays there's no 90% anymore. Now it's a small minority. Those who actually go to church on Sunday, that's like 3-4%. So you see, that means that these people yearn for something else. And so you have an enormous religious market in the West at the moment. And, you know, everything is being commercialized, but at any rate, it's being made present. People, you know, people's interest is aroused. For example, a recent fad I saw was a Siberian shamanism. You know, some Russian immigrants in our country, Belgium, you know, they were looking for a way to make a living. So they said, oh yeah, it's not really Russian, it's more of the Tongus and so on, minorities, but all right, it's within the Russian Federation, and people don't know anyway, so okay, Russian someone. And so you have all these, you know, all these fancy countries, Morocco, Bali, Thailand, of course, and so on. But you see, none of that can match Hinduism. No way. And so you do get an enormous market for Hindu stuff. This is especially true with yoga, or at least with Hatha yoga. Hatha yoga is catching on like wildfire. You see, especially women do it. And then you have a fair number of young people who do it, but mostly it catches on like midlife crisis, you know. Usually they're divorced, and so they're seeking for something meaningful in their lives. And so it starts with this physical discipline. And then many, not all, but many then get interested, oh yeah, there's this deeper philosophy, and then they start reading about it. And so within these circles, I notice a gradual increase in quality. You know, people, I mean, the teachers become more and more aware of what really yoga stands for. They invite masters from India to teach them. More and more, of course, with internet technology, their Hinduism has a lot to gain. And that might ultimately even work in India, because you have all these, all these beautiful people in Delhi and Mumbai and so on, for whom Hinduism is a distant memory. And so, as they secularize, they are going to end up doing what secularized people in the West apparently are doing, namely they start exploring spirituality. And so they start constituting the ever-growing number of people who, you know, sign on the census form, spiritual but not religious. But so they may end up taking to Hindu things. In fact, little detail, it's not just in the West, it's even in the Muslim world that I see, especially yoga, of course, catch on. And so depending on the context, in some countries and so on, they have to emphasize, oh, this is not Hinduism. In others, you know, they can get away with it. So they have to be careful not to offend the Islamic sensibilities, but they can get away with more and more. And so, like you know, Shri Ravi Shankar, you know, I mean, I'm a great critic of his because of his view of Christianity and Islam, which is absolutely sentimental nonsense. But you see, in his case, I don't mind, because maybe that is the price he has to pay in order to do something very, very useful and unique. He has a whole network of meditation centers in the Middle East. Even in Iraq after the war, you see, there was terror everywhere and so on. The Red Cross left Iraq because it was too dangerous for their personnel. Shri Ravi Shankar stayed on. So, I mean, that's impressive. And so, you know, these people are not immediately going to say, oh yeah, I leave Islam, I become Hindu. But they are absorbing more and more Hindu culture. So this is really possible. It's only in India of course, where the secularists are primarily anti-Hindu, that this won't catch on right away. But so in a new form, Hinduism has a future. In the old form, it's really in danger. Because now let's talk about the threats. So I'd say Hinduism in its pristine form is very much threatened. And you heard, for instance, about the whole incident of Sabarimala. Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting case study. I mean, there are many more, like, for example, the attacks on Hindu festivals, you know, against the firecrackers on Diwali, against Keonraad Chout as, you know, patriarchal, and, but so here, or against, what's it called, beginning of Capricorn, Makar Sankranti. You know, that's when they fly kites. So, you know, 2-3 years ago I was in Ahmedabad, where it's a really big thing with kites, and so you see the secularists then were saying, but you know, some birds die by flying against kites. Well, you know, that's the reason why not stop air travel, you know, because these airplanes, they kill lots of birds. Yeah, well, let's go fly a kite up to the highest height. Let's go fly a kite and send it soaring up through the atmosphere, up where the air is clear. Oh, let's go fly a kite. Anyway, so you see, I am all for this, I mean, all the merrymaking that people do on these Hindu festivals, so each of them are under attack. You know, they always find some reason or other. Jallikattu, of course, is cruelty to animals, whereas Bakar Eid, where millions of sheep are slaughtered, that's okay, that we won't touch. So you see, Hinduism is on that level under attack, and it's very important because for many, you know, illiterate people, that's the main thing that makes their religion is these festivals. That punctuates the year. You know, these are the big moments, and I mean, with each festival is important in their lives. They dress up for this occasion, and they do those things for that occasion. And so these festivals are very important, so attacking these Hindu festivals, that really does it. Now, you see, what is the case of Sabarimala? There, the idea is that the deity is celibate, and therefore, like many monks, like I've seen this even in England, in the Neasden temple, that's the Swaminarayan temple, so there are monks living there. And they, I mean, literally can't see women. I mean, they are never together in a room with a woman. You know, like I was there, they wanted to talk to me, I was there with company, so the women had to stay out. You know, and so this deity Ayappan has a similar story, so therefore there shouldn't be women around him, at least not women in the fertile age. So women are only allowed below 10 and after 50. Now, that's not feminist, that's not equality. And so the secularists wanted to abolish that. Then the RSS, I'm sorry to say, followed suit, said, oh, we have to be modern, we have to show how broad-minded we are, you know, yeah. So they also wanted to abolish this. And then, strangely, You see, local people reacted against this. They had this tradition that, women are not allowed in except after 50. And so there started a movement ready to wait. Because, for women this is part of their devotion. That you're ready to wait, that you're ready to sacrifice something. In this case, time. So they started this movement, and then the RSS changed its mind, said, oh, maybe the Hindus think something else, let's follow them. And so you see what came out at the political level was a bit wishy-washy, but at any rate Hindus had scored a victory. You see, to some extent they had managed to assert this, and the effect, the public show of loyalty to the tradition, that opened a few eyes. You see, because the secularists were under the impression that it's a walkover, ultimately Hinduism is going to be annihilated completely, step by step, and maybe that's not the case. So Hindus are not that weak. Nevertheless, they are very vulnerable there. And so you see, that battle was won. It doesn't mean that the war is going to be won. So those are some of the opportunities and threats. Maybe something more finally about, right. One threat, of course, is weakening from inside. Those who stand up for Hinduism are themselves already to some extent compromised. And so the Hinduism that they defend is not the real Hinduism. It's already a watered down version. Especially Mahatma Gandhi is invoked a lot for that. Like you have this book by Shashi Tharoor, Why I Am a Hindu. And so that gives the sort of Nehruvian Congressite version of Hinduism, where he thinks that Hinduism is all about tolerance, and if you allow yourself to be walked over, then you're a good Hindu. If you stand up to defend yourself, then you're not a good Hindu. Okay. The fact that he wrote that book, of course, that is a little tribute to Narendra Modi, in the sense that suddenly, for opportunists like Congressites mostly are, suddenly it became the thing to do to show a bit of a Hindu face. Like Rahul Gandhi, who called himself a thread-wearing Brahmin. You see, there's, but they think that is a convenient form of Hinduism. Hinduism that is just a face mask, so to speak, with little substance, with little consequence. And so, that may give a bit of color to life, okay. But nevertheless, the situation is that within the ruling party itself, you do find quite a tendency to walk after the secularists, to do what the secularists say, to follow suit. Even though they're in power, they're still executing the secularist agenda.